All right, a Democratic contender has emerged to face Kamala Harris in the race for Barbara Boxer's Senate seat. We are breaking down why this race is so critical to California and what you need to know about Congresswoman Loretta Sanchez.
All right, when Barbara Boxer announced that she would not seek re-election for her Senate seat, Attorney General right there, Kamala Harris, was quick to announce that she was going to run for that seat.
But another Democratic contender has since emerged, Congresswoman Loretta Sanchez from Southern California.
And joining us now to take a closer look at this Senate race is political analyst Brian Sobel. Brian, thanks for joining us. Two liberals, two women, one from Orange County, strong roots in Southern California, one with Bay Area ties, strong roots in Northern California. Do you think Harris has a bit of an advantage in the fact that she has won a statewide race, whereas Congresswoman Sanchez has not?
Yes, in a word. I think at the end of the day, she's got statewide name recognition. Sanchez is known in this area, but not to the extent that Kamala Harris is, or Kamala Harris in the southern part of the state. So that's very important to remember. Also, she jumped out very quickly. She's raised a lot of money already. Sanchez comes in behind. The thing to remember is it's an open primary. So the top two people who end up in the primary with the most votes end up going against each other.
No matter what your party is.
No matter your party affiliation. So in theory, you could have, but highly unlikely, Sanchez going against Harris, who would definitely come in the #1 spot.
How much should you put towards the fact that she is a Latino and she would be the first Latina ever elected? She gets the Southern California vote, possibly more of the Latino vote from down there. Did you put any...
You have to factor that in, but at the end of the day, Harris is formidable. She is somebody who is the Attorney General of the state. People know who she is. She's got a long record fighting crime, and Sanchez has been in Washington, D.C. She has to come back now and tell the whole state of California about her.
Okay, so you got two strong Democrats there. What about on the Republican side? I mean, I know there are some thinking about it, right, exploring it.
Absolutely. The one contender you might want to look at right now is the assembly member who comes from the San Diego area, Rocky Chavez. Mm-hmm. And he represents the person that could garner enough votes from Republicans that don't tend to move away from their party and become the person who actually challenges Harris in the general election.
There's also the former Republican chair, Tom Del Beccaro.
He is in he has declared he's in the race as well.
Duff Sondheim as well.
Duff Sondheim has not declared, but he has been talking and he's out speaking with people. The problem is for the Republicans is lack of fundraising ability throughout the state of California, party registration much less throughout California, much less in the major areas of California, with the exception of Orange County. So it becomes a very tall task for a Republican to win that seat.
And name recognition, too.
Absolutely.
I want to go back to Sanchez. I mean, you talked about her time in D.C. For someone who's going to vote, wouldn't that be a favor as you're running for U.S. Senate? I mean, you have the foreign and national policy experience compared to someone who has been the DA in San Francisco and Attorney General in Sacramento.
Well, you have articulated how that campaign has to be presented to voters statewide. I know Washington, D.C. I've been in Washington, D.C. for many, many years, 10 terms. I could just go down the hall and I'd take over for California residents. On the other hand, I think when somebody gets a chance to spend a little time with Kamala Harris, listen to her, I think she will be able to convince most people in the state of California, to be blunt, that she's the person who ought to be running for
and to add to that,
Sanchez
in LA Times is already saying she is citing Harris's lack of national policy. Hey, I have that, but she is lacking that.
Well, Sanchez has some of those bona fides, but at the end of the day, money, and frankly, what the Democrats did to kind of clear the field with Newsom deciding he'll hang out and wait to be governor, and she would take on the Senate race, was very calculated.
Remember the story as soon as Congresswoman Sanchez jumped in and she offended some Native Americans by a gesture she had made.
Right.
Her image come June 2016. Do you think that's going to play a role at all?
Well, time cures a lot of things, but that particular incident is one of those things that people will remember, and frankly, it'll show up in independent expenditure, advertising, and that sort of thing. That incident has not gone away forever.
Let's talk about Barbara Boxer.
Yes.
What is the power there in that seat? Why is it so important? And also, what's next for Barbara Boxer?
Well, it's a good question. What is next for Barbara? She has been there for 4 Senate terms, 10 years before in the House of Representatives. She's a fixture in Washington, D.C. And what she goes on to do, I don't know. But she has helped make that seat incredibly powerful in the United States Senate, as has Dianne Feinstein. And so as she leaves now, the next person that comes in will be a junior senator in the bigger scheme of things, and that always affects things a little bit. Barbara has a lot of time in grade.
Well, no matter who wins, let's hope it's a great voter turnout come November 2016.
Well, that's the key. It's a presidential election, so we should have a good voter turnout.
All right. Good conversation.
Talk to you
Absolutely.
again closer, too.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Thanks, Brian.